SARA Section 313, also known as the Form R report, is a legal reporting requirement that applies to any Tennessee manufacturing industry that makes or uses chemicals that can potentially be released to the environment. Submission of this report is required under Title III of the Superfund Amendments and Reauthorization Act of 1986. This law is also known as the Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act. The law has existed since 1987, which is the first year businesses had to report. All four of these qualifiers apply to the facility that may have to report. The first qualifier is associated with the site's primary NICS code. These are primarily manufacturers, although not always. The facility's personnel, including contractors and temps, must equal or exceed 20,000 labor hours during the year. The facility must have produced, processed, or used one or more listed chemicals found on the Form R chemical list at a volume equaling or exceeding certain thresholds. If all four qualifiers are met, a report for that chemical is required. Production, processing, or use thresholds for most of these chemicals are relegated to the higher values shown here. 25,000 pounds for manufacture and process, and 10,000 for all other uses. Persistent bioaccumulative and toxic chemicals are a special case and have smaller thresholds of either 10 or 100 pounds depending on the listed chemical. Highly toxic dioxin or dioxin-like compounds are very small with a threshold amount of 1/10 of a gram. The North American Industrial Classification Codes that apply to business and industry can be found in the EPA Form R Instruction Guide. A few examples are shown here and are generally associated with manufacturing facilities. Note that this list includes NAICS codes that are non-manufacturers, especially federal facilities that may produce, process, or use these materials. The compliance deadline for reporting under Section 313 is July 1st of this year. If this law applies, the facility is required to report on chemical releases to the environment in terms of how much was released, how it was released, where it was released to, the mode of release, and detailed information on engineering controls to minimize these environmental releases. Releases can include accidental discharges as well as those covered legally under facility operating permits. Regulatory enforcement provides for significant penalties for noncompliance. The Tennessee business example shown here is for a company failing to report lead releases from its facility. Fines and penalties, both civil and criminal, are on the increase and include fines associated with the Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act. Civil fines up to $27,500 per day per chemical and imprisonment for willful and neglectful behavior are provided for under the law. An example calculation is provided. This would be a maximum cost avoidance type of penalty. If you need more information, call or write at these phone or email addresses. Plan on attending an open enrollment class in May and June of this year for Section 313 at a location near you.